Hey guys, today I just wanted to talk about something that I think is kind of a problem for people who are working out. They don't really understand a whole lot about nutrition, and nutrition actually plays a huge role in getting in shape, losing weight, becoming fit, all of those things. I see so many people in the gym all the time who are in there, they're sweating, their heart rate is up, they're working really hard, and they don't understand why they're not either losing weight if that's their goal or building muscle if that's their goal. Whatever their goal is, they can't understand why they're in the gym busting their butt day in and day out and they're not seeing any visible changes in their body. They might be getting stronger, they might be able to lift more weight than they did when they started, but they're not actually seeing the change. And I mean, all of us want to see the change in our bodies when we're putting in that kind of time. So hopefully in this video, I can maybe help you understand how nutrition plays such a huge role in that, and how there is a big difference in just eating foods that are healthy versus eating foods that are going to contribute to your goals, whether it be weight loss, building muscle, getting more lean, etc. So I really hope that you enjoy this video. Before I get too deep into this video, I want to let you all know that I'm not a registered dietitian. I don't have a degree in nutrition at all, so I don't want anybody to be under the impression that I think I'm an expert on this by any means, because I'm not. I feel like I'm learning new things every day, but if I had it to do over again, I would get my degree in something different than what I got it in, and that would be nutrition. I think that nutrition and learning about food and what different foods can do for your body are fascinating. And I spend a lot of time researching things. I'm one of these people who, when I'm told to do something, I want to know why I'm doing it. So every time my coach changes my macros, gives me a new meal plan, I'm doing my own research to figure out why. Why are we doing this? What is it going to achieve? What is this certain food doing for my body? So just through my own curiosity, I've learned a lot, and I'm just sharing that with all of you. So I don't want anybody to think that I think I know everything is what I'm saying. I'm just passing on the information that I have learned. The majority of my clients are women who come to me and don't necessarily need to lose a lot of weight. Maybe they need to lose 5 or 10 pounds, but the majority of the women I work with are looking to tone up. And a lot of people in the fitness world make fun of the word toning, but I understand what women mean when they come to me and they say that they want to tone up. I understand that that means that they want everything to be tight. They don't want anything to jiggle. They want things to be lifted. They just want a little bit of muscle definition. A lot of women are scared when you say the word muscle because they think they're going to end up looking like a male bodybuilder, which is so untrue, and that's a whole other topic. But they do come to me wanting to just be tighter and toned and a little bit more athletic looking. So that's what we work on. And the first question that I ask them is, what are you eating? And a lot of times the women will say that they're eating really healthy. So I'll say, well, what are you eating? And they'll name off a list of things. And I have actually made a list, kind of a sample list of things that I hear a lot, that a lot of women tell me that they're eating that are kind of healthy foods, but there's a difference between eating healthy foods and eating foods that are going to make you lean and are going to make you build muscle. And the macros are usually not on point where they need to be. And if you don't know what macros are, I'm going to go ahead and link up the video that I made that explains macros. And I think it does a pretty good job of putting it in layman's terms for you. So if you're unfamiliar with macros, go ahead and watch that. I'm not going to go into that in this video really as much as I did in that one, but I will link that up for you. So anyway, I have made a list of foods that a lot of women tell me they eat, and I'm going to share that with you right now. So this list is just a sample of kind of a meal plan that a lot of my clients tell me that they're eating and think that they're doing a really great job, and I have to burst their bubble and tell them that this particular way of eating is fine, but it's not going to help them build muscle, and it's not going to help them really kind of achieve that toned look that they're looking for. So in this case, we have for breakfast 1/2 cup of oats and 1 banana. And yes, oats and a banana are very healthy foods, but where's the protein in this breakfast? There is none. Moving on to the snack, we have a Nature Valley Oats and Honey granola bar. And granola bars really are typically just loaded with sugar, and they have a lot of carbs. For lunch, we have grilled chicken salad with 3 ounces of chicken and 2 tablespoons of fat-free ranch dressing. Okay, so the salad is fine, and this is probably the best meal that we have for the day because it does have the chicken in it, which is protein. But here we've got this 2 tablespoons of fat-free ranch dressing, and I'm going to tell you right now, most fat-free food items are full of sugar and carbs. Moving on to the snack, we have the Yoplait 100-calorie Greek yogurt, and yes, that's typically fine, but again, that's not going to be necessarily the best choice for a snack, by itself anyway. For dinner, we have chicken fajitas from a Mexican restaurant. A lot of women think that Mexican food is healthy, and I'm not sure where this came from, but I do hear this a lot. Oh, well, I had Mexican because Mexican is the healthiest kind of restaurant food to eat, and that is really not true. So the total macros for this day of eating are 24 grams of fat, 162 grams of carbs, 80 grams of protein, and then 1,187 calories. Another big problem we have with this healthy, so women think, way of eating is that we have 40 grams of sugar here and only 15 grams of fiber. So the main problem with this meal plan is that there's not nearly enough protein in it. And people who are exercising and working out a lot need a lot of protein. You can go to iifym.com and go to their macro calculator, and it's going to calculate your macros for you based on your height, weight, age, activity level. And one thing I will say about the activity level on there is that a lot of people think they're working out a lot harder than they're actually working out. So there are people who might be at the gym for 2 hours, but they're actually only working out for about 20 minutes of that time because they're socializing or walking around or doing I don't really know what, but I see that quite a bit. And so don't put into the macro calculator that you're working out, intense working out for 2 hours if you're really not. It's not going to do you any favors by the macro calculator giving you more macros than you need, because you're just completely defeating the purpose by doing that. You've got to be honest with it. So if you're only doing 20 minutes of actual exercise, you need to think about that, and that's what you need to enter. Whereas if you are legitimately doing an hour to an hour and a half of tough exercising where your heart rate is up the whole time, that's what you would enter. That's what's going to give you the more accurate macros. So when you get your macros, if you're a person who exercises, more than likely you're going to have a good amount of protein on there. And a lot of people would consider a good amount of protein maybe quite a bit less than what actually is a good amount of protein. So that's why you need to just go to that macro calculator, enter in your info. It's going to be customized to you, and that's going to give you a good starting point of where you need to eat. So for this meal plan, the one that I just showed, the major problem here is that there's not enough protein, there's not enough fat, there are really a lot of carbs, for this particular situation. And so we need to change those numbers around. So just because some of these foods are healthy, just like the breakfast, for instance, you've got a half cup of oats and a banana. Those are both healthy foods. If you follow me on Instagram, you know how much I love my oatmeal.com oats, and they are very healthy, but you've got to put protein with that. So the problem with that breakfast is that there's no protein in it. The meal 2, which was the granola bar, again, there's no protein, and there's a lot of sugar in that granola bar. The meal 3 is fine, but we can make it better. The meal 4, the Greek yogurt, is fine too, but I'm going to show you a way that we're going to make that better too. The Mexican for dinner needs to be tossed out the window. There are a couple of options at a Mexican restaurant that are okay. One of them being a grilled chicken salad with, I usually don't get cheese on mine, and then I'll just use pico or salsa instead of dressing, and that makes it quite a bit better than if you were to use a dressing with it. So that is one option for the Mexican restaurant. But fajitas, especially when you're eating tortillas with them, is not a good healthy option. It's not going to work. And then I also would add in a post-workout meal. A post-workout meal is so important because after you've worked out, you've got blood pumping through your muscles. You need to feed your muscles right after you work out because that's going to really support that muscle growth. So it's very important. So now I'm going to show you what I would do to make this meal plan kind of keep the same foods, but just make it better and make it fit macros better. And I'm just going to use my own personal macros as an example for this meal plan. So this meal plan that I'm about to show you is going to be macros that I would use for a cutting or leaning out diet. All right, so in our new meal plan, I'm trying to hold it still. In our new meal plan for breakfast, I have kept the oats and the banana, but I've changed the portion sizes on them. I've changed the 1.5 cup oats down to 1/3 cup. I've changed the whole banana down to 1/2, and then I've added in protein by adding in the 4 egg whites. I'm also adding in a good source of fat, which would be the tablespoon of Nuts and More peanut spread, which you all know how much I love that. And I've also listed the macros underneath each meal. So now we've got 8 grams of fat, 40 grams of carbs, and 25 grams of protein, which before we had no protein, or maybe, a couple grams, and we had over 50 carbs. So we've just kind of balanced that out a little bit better. Now for our snack, we've changed from the granola bar to an actual protein bar. So now we've got really good macros on this. We've got 20 grams of protein, 26 grams of carbs, and 5 grams of fat. On the lunch, I've kept it a grilled chicken salad, but I have specified baby spinach. Baby spinach it's really good for you. It has fiber in it with some other vitamins too. It's better than regular lettuce. So we've got 3 cups of baby spinach. We're keeping the 3 ounces of grilled chicken. We're adding in some fruit, which I love putting fruit on a salad. So we're adding in a cutie, which is just a clementine. And then instead of that fat-free ranch dressing, we're doing 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, which also has a lot of health benefits, and then 1 tablespoon of olive oil, which olive oil is a good source of fat. So now we have 15 grams of fat, 11 carbs, and 21 grams of protein. So basically we were able to add in the fruit and take away that dressing, and we've actually got less carbs than we would have had we not done that. Now, for the snack, we've still got the Yoplait 100 calorie Greek yogurt, which is fine, but I'm adding more protein to that by putting in the 1/2 scoop of whey protein powder. And then I'm also adding in 1 tablespoon of Nuts and More peanut spread for that as the good source of fat. So now we have 6 grams of fat, 21 grams of carbs, 27 grams of protein. Now for the dinner, we completely threw out the Mexican because it's just not a good choice. So a good dinner, in my opinion, would be 3 ounces of salmon, 1 cup of Asian stir-fry veggies, 1/4 cup of brown rice, 1 tablespoon of Bragg's liquid aminos, which are kind of like a low-sodium soy sauce. They taste like soy sauce, but they're actually amino acids, and they have just not very much sodium at all. And then again, we're doing 1/2 tablespoon of olive oil because olive oil is a good source of fat. So now, again, as you can see, our macros are more balanced. There's nothing that's really kind of out of whack on that. And I'm also adding in a post-workout meal because, like I told you, it's super important to do that. So we've got a scoop of protein powder, 1 rice cake of any flavor, and 1/2 cup of strawberries that you would eat within 30 minutes after your workout. So the total macros for the day are now, trying to get this in focus here, are now 46 grams of fat, 134 grams of carbs, 138 grams of protein, 1,442 calories. So you can see the percentages out to the side. Basically, most of our calories are coming from protein. And then next, we have 37% of our total calories coming from the carbs, and then 25% of our total calories coming from the fat. So this is a much better balanced meal plan than the one that I showed you before that a lot of my clients say they're doing and can't understand why they're not achieving their goals. Another important thing about this meal plan is that it has 40 grams of sugar and 36 grams of fiber. So we've kept our sugar pretty much the same while adding in a ton more food, and we've also added fiber, which is so important. You really need to get between 30 and 40 grams of fiber a day. What I hope everyone will get out of this video is that just because you're eating healthy foods doesn't mean that those healthy foods are contributing as much as they could to your goals. So if you are trying to build muscle, you're going to have that protein, especially at breakfast. You really need to get your day started with protein. And I hear so often that people are just having the oatmeal or the banana for breakfast, and those are healthy foods, but you've got to get the protein in there. You've got to have a balance at each meal. So when you figure out what your macros are, and it tells you either 100 grams of protein or 250 grams of protein, just kind of depending on your weight and your goals, you need to evenly divide that out as much as you can between those meals, and that way you're going to get it all in at the end of the day. So you have to have balance. You cannot leave things out. If you're not getting enough fat in your diet, that can cause all kinds of bad things. It can make your skin and your hair look bad. It can make you tired. You've got to have those good fats in your diet. And when things do say they're fat-free, that's often not a good thing. Sometimes it's fine, but a lot of times when you see foods that are fat-free, like, for example, Twizzlers. I know my kids eat a lot of Twizzlers, and on the package they're really advertising the fact that they're a fat-free food. Well, you look on the nutrition facts, there's a ton of sugar, a ton of carbs. They're terrible. You don't want to eat those. So just because things are fat-free does not make them good choices to eat. You've really got to be aware of reading labels. And when you're looking for foods, you want to try to find foods that aren't really high in one particular macro. You've got to have that balance. I can't stress that enough. So if you are in the gym constantly, sweating your little booty off, working so hard, and not seeing any change in your body, or sometimes people are actually gaining weight because when they start working out, that your appetite will increase as you work out more, and they are eating the healthy foods, but sometimes the healthy foods will have a ton of fat, a ton of carbs, just things that are just, they don't fit your macros. So again, it all comes down to the macros and hitting those macros every day. Another thing I see a lot is people on Facebook sharing recipe ideas with each other. They say they're doing macro dieting and they're sharing all these recipe ideas, but I'm looking at these recipes and a recipe might have 80 grams of carbs in it and no protein. So at the end of the day, when you're sitting there tallying up your macros, you're not going to like the fact that you ate that, because it's going to be really hard to compensate for that later. If you're only allowed 100 carbs a day and you've just had 80 in one meal, which is actually fairly easy to do, then that only leaves you 20 carbs for the rest of the day. So you just really have to be aware of that and take that into consideration when you're trying to reach your goals. So you just really, I hope this video really helps you understand that. I know that it can be really confusing, and that's why I'm making these videos, is to try to lay things out for you and show you that they can actually be a lot easier. So I really hope that I have put this into layman's terms for you and made it easy to understand, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.